Listen carefully, what women never say out loud reveals everything. Number 1. Emotional safety. A woman deeply craves a man who is steady, not unpredictable. Not a man who explodes, disappears, or plays games. She wants to feel like she can be herself without being judged, mocked, or dismissed. When she feels emotionally safe, she opens up naturally. Number 2. Calm confidence. Not loud dominance. Not arrogance. Quiet confidence. A man who knows who he is, doesn't seek validation, and doesn't fold under pressure. This kind of presence makes her feel secure without you saying a word. Number 3. To feel chosen, not chased. There's a difference. Chasing is desperate energy. Choosing is intentional. She wants to feel like you see her value and still stand firm in your own standards. That balance creates attraction. Number 4. Consistency. Not intensity today and silence tomorrow. She may never say it, but inconsistency creates anxiety. Consistency builds trust. When your words match your actions over time, she relaxes around you. Number 5. Leadership. Not control. Leadership. She wants a man who can make decisions, take initiative, and guide situations when needed. It doesn't mean you dominate her, it means you can handle direction in life. Number 6. To be understood without over-explaining. She doesn't want to spell everything out. She wants you to pay attention, to notice patterns, moods, and details. When you understand her without constant explanation, it builds emotional depth. Number 7. Respect over everything. Compliments are easy. Attraction is common. But real respect? That's rare. She wants to feel valued for who she is, not just how she looks or what she gives you. If you understand these, you move differently. You stop guessing, and start becoming the man women naturally gravitate toward. And if you really want to stand out, you have to go deeper than surface-level attraction. Number 8. Emotional control. She's watching how you handle pressure, anger, and frustration. Not what you say, but how you react. A man who can stay composed when things go wrong shows strength most men don't have. Number 9. Mystery with honesty. She doesn't want a man who overshares everything too quickly. But she also doesn't want confusion or deception. The balance is this: you reveal yourself in layers, while staying truthful. That keeps curiosity alive without breaking trust. Number 10. Growth mindset. A woman may never say it, but she's drawn to a man who is going somewhere. Not stuck. Not comfortable. A man who is building, improving, evolving. That energy makes her feel like she's part of a bigger journey. Number 11. Attention that feels earned. Too much attention too easily loses value. Too little makes her feel ignored. She craves attention that comes from genuine interest, not neediness. When your attention has standards, it feels more meaningful. Number 12. Emotional depth. Surface conversations get boring. She wants to feel something when she talks to you. Depth, perspective, insight. A man who can connect beyond small talk separates himself instantly. Number 13. Protection. Not just physical. Emotional protection. Social protection. A man who has her back, who doesn't let others disrespect her, who stands firm when it matters. That creates a powerful sense of security. Number 14. Presence. Not just being there physically, but being fully there mentally. No distractions. No divided attention. When you give her your full presence, it makes her feel valued in a way most men overlook. Master these, and you don't need to force attraction. It happens naturally, because you're operating on a level most men never reach. Number 15. Patience. A woman won't always open up immediately. She tests, observes, and takes her time. What she craves is a man who doesn't rush her, pressure her, or force outcomes. Patience signals confidence. It tells her you're not desperate for validation or control. Number 16. Emotional independence. She doesn't want to become your emotional crutch. A man who depends on her for all his happiness creates pressure. What she secretly wants is a man who is already whole, someone who chooses her, not needs her to feel complete. Number 17. Honesty without fear. Not brutal honesty meant to hurt, but grounded truth. A man who can say what he means without fear of losing her earns respect. Most men hide their real thoughts to keep approval. That weakens attraction over time. Number 18. Boundaries. This is where many men fail. She may test limits, consciously or unconsciously, but what she craves is a man who knows where he stands and doesn't allow disrespect. Boundaries show self-respect, and self-respect commands respect. Number 19. Emotional stability. Mood swings, jealousy, insecurity, these drain attraction. A woman is drawn to a man whose emotions are grounded. He doesn't get easily shaken. His energy is steady, predictable in the best way. Number 20. Purpose. This is deeper than goals. Purpose is direction. A man who wakes up with intention, who is building something meaningful, becomes naturally attractive. She wants to feel like she's with a man who has a mission beyond her. Number 21. Restraint. Not reacting to everything. Not chasing every impulse. Not giving in to every desire. Restraint shows discipline, and discipline is rare. When you don't overreact or overextend, your presence becomes more powerful. Number 22. Respect for her individuality. She doesn't want to lose herself in you. She wants to feel like she can still be who she is, her interests, her thoughts, her identity, without being controlled or reshaped. Respecting that builds real connection. Number 23. Subtle dominance in direction. Not force. Not control. But direction. The ability to take the lead when needed, make decisions, and handle situations without hesitation. It creates a sense of ease for her. Number 24. Reassurance without begging. There are moments she wants to feel secure in your interest. Not through constant validation, but through calm, grounded reassurance. A simple, confident expression of intent goes further than excessive words. Number 25. Discipline. Your habits, your routines, your consistency in life. A disciplined man shows that he can manage himself, and if he can manage himself, he can handle bigger responsibilities. Number 26. Emotional awareness. Understanding not just her emotions, but yours too. Knowing why you feel what you feel, and not projecting unresolved issues onto her. This creates clarity and reduces unnecessary conflict. Number 27. Integrity. Doing what you say you'll do. Even when it's inconvenient. Even when no one is watching. Integrity builds trust faster than words ever could. Number 28. The ability to walk away. This is the one most won't admit. A woman is drawn to a man who stays by choice, not obligation. When you have the strength to walk away from disrespect or misalignment, it shows you value yourself. Number 29. Calm communication. Not shouting. Not shutting down. Not manipulating. Just clear, direct, calm expression. This kind of communication resolves tension instead of escalating it. Number 30. Emotional balance. Not too cold. Not too attached. A balance between logic and feeling. This creates a dynamic where she feels both challenged and safe at the same time. Number 31. Authenticity. No masks. No pretending. No acting to impress. A man who is unapologetically himself stands out immediately, because most people are performing. Number 32. Quiet strength. Not the need to prove, show off, or dominate. Just a steady, grounded strength that speaks through actions, not noise. Number 33. Attention to detail. Remembering small things. Noticing changes. Paying attention to what she says and does. This shows genuine interest without needing grand gestures. Number 34. Emotional generosity. Not in a needy way, but in a grounded way. Giving attention, time, and care without expecting immediate returns. Number 35. Self-respect above all. If you don't respect yourself, nothing else here will hold. Everything collapses without this foundation. At the end of all this, understand something clearly. This isn't about manipulating women or trying to win them. It's about becoming a man who naturally attracts respect, connection, and desire because of how he lives, thinks, and carries himself. Focus on building yourself first. Everything else aligns after that. Number 36. Emotional patience under pressure. Not just waiting, but staying grounded when she's upset, distant, or testing you emotionally. Most men react too quickly. What she craves is a man who can hold his frame without collapsing into anger or desperation. Number 37. Clarity of intention. She doesn't want to decode mixed signals forever. You don't have to over-explain, but your actions should clearly show where she stands with you. Confusion kills attraction over time. Number 38. The ability to listen without fixing everything. Sometimes she's not looking for solutions. She wants to feel heard. A man who can listen, understand, and not rush to solve everything creates emotional connection most men miss. Number 39. Self-control and desire. Attraction is natural, but lack of control weakens your presence. When you're not ruled by lust or impulse, your attention feels more intentional and more valuable. Number 40. Grounded masculinity. Not performance. Not imitation. Just being comfortable in your role as a man, decisive, calm, responsible. No need to prove it loudly. Number 41. Unpredictability in a healthy way. Not inconsistency, but moments of surprise. New ideas, spontaneous plans, shifts in routine. It keeps the connection alive without creating instability. Number 42. Loyalty in action. Words are easy. Loyalty shows in how you behave when she's not around, how you speak about her, and how you handle temptation. Number 43. The ability to challenge her. Not arguing for ego, but pushing her to think, grow, and see things differently. She doesn't want a man who agrees with everything just to keep peace. Number 44. Independence in your lifestyle. Your life shouldn't revolve around her. You have your own mission, friends, routines, and priorities. That independence creates space for attraction to breathe. Number 45. Emotional reassurance through actions. Not constant words, but consistent behavior. Showing up, being present, keeping your word. That's what reassures her long term. Number 46. Composure during conflict. Arguments reveal everything. A man who stays calm, doesn't insult, and doesn't lose control earns deeper respect, even in disagreement. Number 47. A sense of direction in relationships. Not drifting aimlessly. Knowing what you want, where things are going, and moving with intention. That clarity reduces uncertainty. Number 48. Protection of the relationship. Not allowing outside opinions, distractions, or influences to weaken what you're building together. Guarding the connection matters. Number 49. Emotional resilience. Life will test you, financially, mentally, emotionally. A man who can take hits and still move forward becomes someone she can rely on. Number 50. Presence without pressure. You're there, fully engaged, but not overwhelming her space or forcing constant interaction. It's a balance most people don't master. Number 51. Quiet validation. Not constant praise, but subtle acknowledgement. Letting her know she's valued through small, real moments instead of exaggerated words. Number 52. Decisiveness. Indecision creates frustration. Whether it's small plans or big moves, being able to choose and act removes unnecessary tension. Number 53. Accountability. Owning your mistakes without excuses. This is rare, and it builds trust faster than perfection ever could. Number 54. A calm lifestyle. Not chaos, drama, or constant instability. A life that feels structured, peaceful, and intentional is deeply attractive. Number 55. Emotional maturity. Understanding timing, tone, and context. Knowing when to speak, when to step back, and when to act. Number 56. Strength without intimidation. She wants to feel your strength, not fear it. There's a difference between being powerful and being threatening. Number 57. Respect for time. Not wasting hers. Not being unreliable. Showing that you value time, yours and hers, signals seriousness. Number 58. The ability to stay grounded when she pulls away. distance happens. What matters is how you respond. Panic pushes her further away. Calm confidence gives her space to come back. Number 59. Long-term thinking. Not just living in the moment, but thinking ahead. Planning, building, and considering the future. Number 60. Emotional honesty with control. You can express how you feel, but without losing yourself in emotion. That balance creates trust without weakness. When you step back and look at all of this, the pattern is clear. It's not about tricks, lines, or manipulation. It's about discipline, awareness, and how you carry yourself every single day. Master that, and you won't need to chase anything. Number 61. Calm silence. Not every moment needs words. A man who is comfortable in silence shows inner stability. She doesn't feel pressure to fill gaps, and that calm energy becomes attractive on its own. Number 62. Emotional consistency over time. Anyone can act right for a few days. What matters is who you are over weeks and months. She craves a man whose character doesn't shift based on mood or convenience. Number 63. Respect for her boundaries. Just as you have yours, she has hers. Pushing too hard, too fast creates resistance. Respecting limits shows maturity and self-control. Number 64. The ability to apologize properly. Not ego-driven, not defensive. A real apology, clear, direct, and backed by change, builds more trust than pretending you're always right. Number 65. Subtle reassurance of exclusivity. She wants to feel like she's not competing for your attention with everyone else. Not through control, but through how you carry yourself and prioritize what matters. Number 66. A strong sense of identity. You know what you stand for, what you believe, and what you won't tolerate. That clarity removes confusion and builds attraction naturally. Number 67. Emotional steadiness when she's emotional. If both of you are reactive at the same time, everything escalates. She craves a man who can stay grounded when emotions rise. Number 68. Respect in disagreement. You won't always agree, and that's normal. But how you disagree matters. No insults, no disrespect, no ego battles. Number 69. Intentional effort. Not random bursts of energy, but consistent, thoughtful effort. Planning, showing up, paying attention. Effort that feels real, not forced. Number 70. The ability to make her feel seen. Not just looking at her, but truly seeing her. Her habits, her changes, her emotions. When she feels seen, she feels connected. Number 71. Emotional boundaries. Not absorbing every emotion around you. You can support her without losing your own balance. That separation keeps the relationship healthy. Number 72. A sense of calm authority. You don't need to argue to lead. You don't need to shout to be heard. Your presence carries weight without force. Number 73. Controlled vulnerability. You can open up, but in a grounded, composed way. Not oversharing everything at once, but letting her see depth over time. Number 74. Prioritizing actions over words. Talking is easy. Doing is rare. She watches what you do far more than what you say. Number 75. Respect for yourself in every situation. How you allow people to treat you sets the tone for everything, including how she treats you. Number 76. The ability to create emotional stability. Your presence should feel like peace, not confusion. When she's around you, things feel clearer, not more chaotic. Number 77. Focus. Not being distracted by everything around you. A man who is focused on his path, his work, and his growth stands out immediately. Number 78. Controlled energy. Not too intense, not too distant. You know when to lean in and when to pull back. That balance keeps attraction alive. Number 79. Emotional intelligence and timing. Knowing when to speak, when to act, when to give space. Timing changes everything. Number 80. Reliability. If you say you'll do something, you do it. No excuses, no inconsistency. Reliability builds deep trust over time. Number 81. The ability to stay unchanged by external pressure. friends, society, opinions, none of it shakes your core. She feels secure knowing you're not easily influenced. Number 82. Grounded ambition. Not empty talk about success, but real steps, real progress, real discipline. She sees movement, not just hears plans. Number 83. Emotional discipline during attraction. You don't lose control just because you like her. You stay composed, intentional, and aware. Number 84. The ability to walk your own path. Not copying others. Not following trends. Living based on your own values and direction. Number 85. Calm persistence. You don't give up easily, but you also don't force things aggressively. You move with patience and consistency. Number 86. Emotional awareness of her needs without losing yourself. You can understand her, but you don't abandon your own standards to please her. Number 87. Strength in letting go. Not everything is meant to stay. A man who can release what doesn't align shows true control. Number 88. Quiet confidence in your value. You don't need constant validation. You already know your worth, and it shows in how you move. Number 89. Emotional balance and attention. You give attention, but not in a way that feels overwhelming or suffocating. There's space and connection at the same time. Number 90. A sense of peace in your presence. At the end of everything, this is what matters most. When she's around you, she feels calm, secure, and understood. Take all of this in, and you'll realize. It's not about trying to impress anyone. It's about becoming someone who naturally commands respect, builds connection, and creates attraction without forcing it. Number 91. Emotional restraint in arguments. Not every thought needs to be spoken in the heat of the moment. A man who can pause, think, and respond instead of react protects the connection from unnecessary damage. Number 92. Intentional distance. You're not always available. Not to play games, but because you have a life. That space allows her to miss you, think about you, and value your presence more. Number 93. Grounded reassurance during uncertainty. When things feel unclear, she looks for stability. Not long speeches, just calm, confident actions that show you're steady and reliable. Number 94. The ability to stay centered when tested. Sometimes she'll challenge you, emotionally or mentally. What she craves is a man who doesn't crumble, overreact, or seek approval, but stays firm in who he is. Number 95. Quiet emotional support. Not dramatic displays. Just being there, listening, understanding, and offering presence without making everything about you. Number 96. Controlled ambition. Ambition without discipline is chaos. She's drawn to a man who moves forward with structure, patience, and real progress. Number 97. Respect for her pace. Not rushing the relationship, not forcing labels, not pushing timelines. Letting things develop naturally builds stronger connection. Number 98. Emotional neutrality in stressful moments. When situations get tense, you don't amplify the stress. You reduce it by staying calm and composed. Number 99. Genuine interest beyond attraction. Not just liking how she looks, but being curious about how she thinks, what she values, and who she is at her core. Number 100. Self-mastery. This is where everything leads. Control over your emotions, your actions, your desires, your direction. A man who has mastered himself doesn't need to chase, he attracts. And once you understand all of this, you realize something simple. None of it is about pretending. It's about discipline, awareness, and growth. Become that man, and everything changes. Follow me for more. Listen closely, because this is where most men separate themselves without realizing it. A woman notices how you handle tension. When things get heated, your ability to stay composed, to think before you speak, and to respond instead of react protects the connection. Most damage in relationships comes from uncontrolled words in emotional moments. She also pays attention to your availability. Not in a manipulative way, but in how full your life is. When you're not always available, it shows you have purpose, structure, and priorities. That space allows her to value your presence more. In moments of uncertainty, she looks for stability. Not long explanations, not over-talking, just calm, grounded actions that show you're steady. That kind of reassurance is felt more than it is spoken. There will be times she challenges you, directly or indirectly. What matters is not the challenge, but your response. If you stay centered, firm, and unaffected, it builds a level of respect that words can't create. Support matters, but not the loud, attention-seeking kind. Quiet support. Being there, listening, understanding without turning everything into a performance. That kind of presence is rare. Ambition also plays a role, but not chaotic ambition. Controlled ambition. Progress that is steady, disciplined, and real. She notices consistency more than empty talk. She values when you respect her pace. Not rushing things, not forcing labels or timelines. Letting things develop naturally creates a stronger, more genuine connection. In stressful situations, your energy matters. If you add pressure, everything collapses. If you remain calm, you become the anchor. That emotional neutrality is powerful. Attraction goes deeper than appearance. She wants to feel that you're interested in who she is, her thoughts, her mindset, her perspective. That depth separates you from the majority. And above everything, she's drawn to self-mastery. A man who has control over himself, his emotions, his actions, his direction, doesn't need to force anything. His presence speaks before he does. When you understand this, everything becomes simple. You stop chasing reactions, and start building real value. Focus on becoming, not impressing. That's where real attraction lives. Pay attention to the small moments, because that's where everything is decided. How you look at her when she's talking. Whether you're fully present or half distracted. Whether you remember the little things she mentioned days ago. These details seem small, but they create a feeling she can't easily explain, feeling valued without you needing to say it repeatedly. Your pace matters too. Moving too fast creates pressure. Moving too slow creates doubt. What works is intentional movement, steady, calm, and clear. You're not rushing, but you're not drifting either. There's also power in what you don't do. Not reacting to every message instantly. Not getting jealous over small things. Not trying to control outcomes. Restraint builds a quiet kind of respect that most men overlook. Energy speaks before words. If your energy feels tense, needy, or uncertain, she picks it up immediately. If it feels calm, grounded, and focused, she relaxes around you without knowing why. You don't need to dominate conversations. Sometimes, asking the right question and actually listening creates more attraction than trying to impress her with stories or achievements. And understand this. Consistency always beats intensity. Anyone can show up strong for a short time. Very few can maintain the same level of presence, respect, and discipline over time. That's what separates temporary attention from lasting connection. You also have to be okay with not being liked by everyone. Trying to please too much weakens your presence. Standing firm in who you are, even if it means losing interest, builds real respect. There will be moments of distance. Moments where she pulls back, becomes quieter or less responsive. Your reaction in those moments matters more than anything. If you panic, you push her further away. If you stay grounded, you give her space to return. You don't need to constantly prove your value. The more you try to prove, the more it looks like you're unsure of yourself. Instead, let your actions, your discipline, and your lifestyle speak for you. Attraction grows in space, in calmness, in emotional stability, not in pressure. And when you reach that point where you're not trying to impress, not chasing validation, not forcing outcomes, that's when everything starts aligning naturally. There's another layer most people miss: the way you handle yourself when nothing is happening. No excitement, no tension, no chase. Just normal moments. If you can still be grounded, present, and intentional in those moments, it shows real stability. That's what builds something that lasts. Your standards quietly shape everything. What you accept, what you ignore, what you walk away from. You don't need to announce them, your behavior reveals them. And once they're clear, everything around you adjusts. You also don't compete for attention. Competing puts you in a position of lack. You choose, you observe, you engage, but you don't fight to be seen. That alone separates you. There's strength in letting conversations breathe. Not forcing replies. Not dragging interactions. Letting things flow naturally without trying to control every moment creates ease. And understand this. Not every connection is meant to last. Part of growth is recognizing when something doesn't align and having the discipline to step back without drama. That decision alone protects your time, your energy, and your direction. You also don't build attraction by overgiving. Giving too much too early reduces value. What matters is timing, giving the right things, at the right moments, for the right reasons. Silence can be powerful. Not silent because you're unsure, but silent because you're comfortable. Comfort in silence shows confidence more than constant talking ever could. Your lifestyle speaks before you do. How you spend your time, how you carry yourself, how disciplined you are, these things create an image that doesn't need explanation. And when you focus on your purpose, something shifts. You stop centering everything around her, and start centering your life around growth, direction, and meaning. That's when attraction stops being something you chase, and becomes something that naturally comes to you. Stay disciplined. Stay aware. Stay grounded. Follow me for more. At some point, you have to understand that attraction is not built through effort alone, it is built through alignment. When your words, your actions, and your lifestyle are not aligned, people feel the inconsistency even if they can't explain it. But when everything aligns, your presence becomes clear and stable. You don't need to overtalk your intentions. You show them through consistency. There's also power in not reacting emotionally to everything you see or hear. A man who is easily triggered gives away control without realizing it. A man who stays calm keeps his control intact. Sometimes the strongest move is doing nothing. Not every situation deserves a response. Not every emotion deserves a reaction. That ability to pause and choose builds real strength. You also need to understand timing and connection. Pushing too early creates resistance. Waiting too long creates distance. But moving with awareness creates balance. When you stop trying to force outcomes, you start noticing patterns. Who is aligned with you? Who is draining you? Who is adding value? And who is just temporary? A lot of men lose themselves by trying to keep everyone interested. But real strength is selective attention. You don't give everyone equal access to your energy. And when you stop seeking constant reassurance, something changes in how people respond to you. You stop appearing needy and start appearing grounded. There is also a quiet power in emotional independence. Not needing constant validation. Not needing constant replies. Not needing constant attention. That independence changes how you are perceived. You become someone who chooses, not someone who waits. And over time, that changes everything: your relationships, your confidence, your direction. Because people don't just respond to what you say. They respond to how much control you have over yourself. That's the real foundation of attraction. Stay focused. Stay disciplined. Stay aware. At a deeper level, what truly shapes attraction is how predictable your emotional reactions are. Not predictable in a boring way, but predictable in a stable way. People feel safe around men they can understand emotionally. Not men who switch moods, change energy without reason, or react differently every time. That stability builds trust without words. You also need to understand something most men ignore: your reaction to disrespect sets the standard for everything that follows. If you tolerate what you shouldn't, it becomes normal. If you correct it calmly and firmly, you reset the standard. Not aggressively. Not emotionally. Just clearly. Another important layer is emotional space. When you're always available, always responding, always engaging, there's no space for reflection or anticipation. Space creates value. Space creates clarity. Space creates attraction. You don't fill every gap in communication. You let moments breathe. And in that breathing space, people start to think about you more than when you are constantly present. You also need to stop attaching your identity to how someone responds to you. A delayed reply, a change in tone, a shift in attention, none of these should shake your foundation. When your self-worth is stable, outside behavior loses control over you. That is real emotional independence. There's also something powerful in being selective with your emotions. Not everything deserves your excitement. Not everything deserves your frustration. When your emotional output is controlled, your presence becomes stronger. You don't become cold, you become intentional. And the more intentional you become, the less you react impulsively to situations that used to control you. Over time, people start to notice something different about you. You don't chase. You don't overreact. You don't beg for attention. You don't lose control emotionally. Instead, you observe, you choose, and you move with clarity. That's when respect naturally builds. Not because you demanded it, but because your behavior made it unavoidable. And at the core of everything, this is the real shift. You stop trying to be chosen, and you start choosing yourself first. That's where real attraction, real respect, and real stability begin. Stay consistent. Stay disciplined. Stay aware. At this stage, it's important to understand that not every connection is meant to be deep, and not every attention is meant to be pursued. A lot of confusion comes from trying to assign meaning to every interaction. But maturity is learning to observe without attachment. To see things clearly without emotionally overinvesting too quickly. You start noticing patterns instead of reacting to moments. Another shift happens when you stop over-explaining yourself. A man who constantly justifies his actions often comes across as unsure. But a man who acts with clarity doesn't need to defend every decision. His consistency speaks for him. You also begin to realize that emotional control is not suppression. It's awareness. You still feel things, but you don't let those feelings dictate your behavior. That separation is powerful. There's also discipline in how you direct your attention. Attention is energy. Where you place it determines your direction in life. When you scatter it across everything, you lose focus. When you control it, you gain power. And this applies to relationships too. You don't invest energy where there is no return. You don't overextend where effort is not mutual. You don't force what is not naturally aligning. At the same time, you learn patience with yourself. Growth is not instant. Emotional mastery is not overnight. It's built through repetition, awareness, and correction. You will slip sometimes. You will react sometimes. But what matters is that you become aware faster each time. That awareness is progress. And as you evolve, your standards become clearer. You stop tolerating confusion. You stop entertaining inconsistency. You stop chasing unclear energy. Because clarity becomes more important than attention. In the end, the strongest position you can reach is this. You are no longer emotionally dependent on how anyone treats you. You are stable within yourself. You are clear about your direction. You are selective with your energy. And you are intentional with your life. From that place, nothing is forced. Everything becomes a choice. Stay grounded. Stay focused. Stay disciplined. At this point, everything comes down to inner structure. When a man has no internal structure, he becomes easily influenced by emotion, attention, and validation. But when structure is strong, outside noise loses its power. You stop being reactive to everything around you. You also begin to understand that emotional distance is not rejection, it is space for clarity. People don't always move away because something is wrong. Sometimes they move away to understand what they actually feel. A grounded man doesn't panic in that space. He observes it. Another important shift is learning to separate interest from obsession. Just because something feels strong doesn't mean it is stable. Intensity is not the same as depth. Depth is built over time, through consistency and understanding. You also start valuing silence more. Not awkward silence, but calm silence. The kind where nothing needs to be proven, nothing needs to be forced, and nothing feels urgent. That silence is where confidence lives. And in relationships, you realize something simple but powerful. People mirror your energy. If you are chaotic, things feel chaotic. If you are calm, things stabilize. If you are inconsistent, confusion grows. If you are consistent, trust builds. So instead of trying to control outcomes, you focus on controlling yourself. That is where real power is. You also become more aware of emotional investment. Not everything deserves equal emotional weight. Some things are temporary. Some are lessons. Some are distractions. Wisdom is knowing the difference early. And when you start operating from that awareness, you naturally stop chasing validation. You stop over-explaining. You stop trying to force understanding. Because you are no longer seeking approval, you are moving with clarity. At that stage, your life becomes less about reaction and more about direction. You choose your pace. You choose your energy. You choose your standards. You choose your focus. And slowly, everything around you adjusts to that level of discipline. That is where real transformation happens, not in what you say, but in how you carry yourself daily. Stay steady. Stay aware. Stay disciplined. At this point, the real difference is no longer in what you know, it's in how you live it consistently when nobody is watching. Because knowledge without discipline is just entertainment. Real change happens when your behavior starts matching your understanding, even in uncomfortable situations. You stop negotiating with your emotions every time they show up. You acknowledge them, but you don't obey them blindly. That space between feeling and action is where control is built. You also begin to notice how quickly people respond to your internal state. When you are uncertain, they become uncertain. When you are grounded, they settle. When you are inconsistent, they drift. So the focus shifts inward. Not trying to manage people's reactions, but refining your own presence so it naturally influences the environment around you. Another layer is understanding that not every silence needs to be filled. Some moments are meant for reflection, not reaction. If you rush to fill every gap, you lose awareness of what is actually happening. Stillness becomes a form of intelligence. You also learn that emotional investment should be earned gradually, not given instantly. Fast attachment creates fast instability. Slow, intentional connection creates depth. That is why patience is not weakness, it is control. And as you mature, your tolerance for confusion decreases. You stop staying in situations that drain your clarity. You stop entertaining mixed signals. You stop trying to decode inconsistent behavior. Because clarity becomes your standard. At the same time, you understand that self-respect is not something you announce, it is something you demonstrate through boundaries, decisions, and consistency. People don't believe what you say about yourself. They believe what you repeatedly allow and reject. So your life starts reflecting structure. What you accept is intentional. What you ignore is intentional. What you pursue is intentional. Nothing is random anymore. And when you reach this level, attraction is no longer something you think about constantly. It becomes a natural byproduct of how you carry yourself, calm, steady, and clear. You're not trying to be understood by everyone. You're focused on being aligned with yourself. And that is where real strength lives. Stay disciplined. Stay aware. Stay consistent. Follow me for more. At a deeper level, what changes everything is how you relate to discomfort. Most people avoid discomfort, so they react quickly, chase validation, or over-explain themselves just to keep things smooth. But growth happens when you stop escaping discomfort and start learning from it. You begin to sit with situations without rushing to fix your emotions immediately. That patience builds emotional control over time. You also stop confusing attention with value. Someone giving you attention doesn't automatically mean alignment. And someone being distant doesn't automatically mean rejection. You learn to observe without jumping to conclusions. That's where emotional maturity develops. Another important shift is understanding that not every connection deserves access to your full energy. Some people only get a small part of you, your time, your presence, your attention, but not your full emotional depth. That protection is not arrogance. It is discipline. You also realize that your environment affects your mindset more than you think. If you surround yourself with chaos, your thinking becomes unstable. If you surround yourself with discipline, your mindset becomes structured. So you become intentional about what influences you. And as you grow, you stop trying to win every interaction. You don't need to prove your point in every situation. You don't need to be understood by everyone immediately. Sometimes silence is stronger than explanation. You also develop emotional timing, knowing when to engage and when to step back, knowing when to speak and when to observe, knowing when to invest and when to withdraw. That timing is what separates reaction from control. And over time, something important happens. You stop seeking constant emotional stimulation. You become comfortable in stability. You no longer need drama, uncertainty, or intensity to feel something is real. Calm becomes enough. At that stage, your presence becomes more grounded, more intentional, and more self-contained. People feel that without you needing to say anything. Because the strongest form of influence is not what you say, it is the energy you consistently carry. And when your energy is stable, your decisions become clearer, your boundaries become stronger, and your direction becomes sharper. You stop living from reaction, and start living from awareness. That is where real transformation happens. Stay focused. Stay disciplined. Stay aware. At this point, the next level is understanding that self-control is not just about emotions, it's about attention. Where your attention goes is where your life moves. If your attention is scattered, your results are scattered. If your attention is focused, your life becomes structured. So you become selective with what you allow into your mind. You also stop reacting to everything that doesn't align with your values. Not every message deserves urgency. Not every situation deserves a response. Not every behavior deserves your energy. This is where emotional discipline becomes visible in your actions. Another shift is learning to detach your identity from other people's behavior. Someone being inconsistent doesn't define you. Someone being distant doesn't reduce your worth. Someone's confusion does not require your correction. You stay centered regardless. That's emotional independence. You also begin to understand the value of delayed response, not as a tactic, but as a natural state of not being controlled by urgency. You don't rush into replies, decisions, or emotional reactions. You move with intention. And as you grow, you stop trying to secure validation from every direction. You no longer need everyone to agree with you, understand you, or approve of you. You are stable even when others are uncertain. That stability becomes your foundation. At the same time, you become more aware of patterns in people. Not to judge them, but to understand behavior without getting emotionally entangled in it. You observe instead of absorb. That awareness protects your peace. You also realize that over-explaining yourself weakens your position. A man who constantly justifies himself often appears unsure. A man who acts consistently doesn't need justification. His actions speak clearly enough. And slowly your focus shifts from external approval to internal alignment. You care less about how things look to others and more about whether they are aligned with your direction. That shift is powerful. Because once you are aligned internally, external chaos loses influence over you. You stop chasing clarity from others and start building clarity within yourself. And from that point forward, your life becomes less reactive and more intentional. You think differently. You move differently. You respond differently. Not because you are trying to prove anything, but because you are no longer controlled by impulse. That is real growth. Stay grounded. Stay consistent. Stay aware. At this stage, what truly separates you is your ability to remain unchanged by temporary emotions. Feelings will rise and fall. Interest will come and go. Situations will shift. But your direction should remain stable. That stability is what builds real authority in your life. You also begin to understand that peace is not found in controlling everything around you, but in controlling how you respond to what you cannot control. So instead of reacting emotionally to uncertainty, you learn to observe it, understand it, and move accordingly without panic. That shift alone changes how people experience your presence. Another important realization is that you don't need to chase understanding from everyone. Some people will misread you. Some will project their assumptions onto you. Some will never fully understand your mindset. And that's fine. You don't build your life around being understood, you build it around being aligned. You also stop overinvesting in situations that are clearly unstable. Not every connection deserves depth. Not every interaction deserves continuation. Wisdom is knowing when to step back without emotional conflict. At the same time, you become more intentional with your energy. You don't give access freely anymore. You don't engage emotionally without awareness. You don't pour deeply into what is not consistent. That discipline protects your peace. You also start noticing how powerful calm presence really is. Not loud confidence. Not forced dominance. Just calm, steady presence that doesn't shift under pressure. That kind of energy cannot be faked for long. And over time, something changes in how you operate. You stop reacting to life and start responding with awareness. There is a pause between what happens and what you do next. In that pause, control is built. You are no longer controlled by urgency. You are guided by clarity. And as this becomes your default state, you stop seeking emotional highs or external validation to feel stable. Stability comes from within. That is real strength. Because when you are no longer easily shaken, influenced, or emotionally pulled in every direction, your decisions become sharper, your boundaries become clearer, and your life becomes more intentional. You don't need to force outcomes anymore. You simply move correctly, and let life respond. Stay grounded. Stay focused. Stay consistent. Follow me for more.